Well, it's a warm welcome to Antigua. Beautiful, sunny. You can see in the background English Harbour, playground of the rich and the famous, with fabulous super yachts in the distance. And we're here for the start of the RORC Caribbean 600, the 11th edition. And we have the most spectacular conditions you can ever imagine. You'll see the blue skies, little partial clouds, the wind's blowing around about 15, 18, gusts of 20, but absolutely stunning weather. I'll make you jealous by saying it's about 27 degrees, and this is most amazing conditions you could ever imagine. And we have 76 boats from all over the world, from 21 countries, as far away as Norway, Australia, Canada. A lot of the boats have sailed here on their own bottom, so this is a really, really special event, and we're delighted to have you with us. And as you can see, the boats are getting ready to go and prepare themselves for the start, taking shelter from quite strong winds that we'll see out in the distance, and putting their sails up behind Fort Charlotte, which is where we're starting the race. And alongside me here is Louay Habib. And Louay's done this race many times. You've been here, Louay, chatting away and doing the PR for us.
Exactly, the PR, Eddie. I've never managed to do the race, but we've been here for what is now the 11th start. And as you say, what a setting. And just looking at the fleet assembled for this race, and it's just incredible. We've got white horses everywhere. You can probably see that the conditions for the start of this RORC Caribbean 600, they look very fresh, Eddie. Just give us an idea of the sea state and the wind speed, Eddie. What do you reckon from here?
Well, you can see the big waves. I mean, this this is open ocean, and this is not the sheltered Solent or Long Island Sound, but yeah, it's boat-breaking conditions in many respects. So, and we've seen in the lead up to this week, we've had strong winds, and we've seen mast break. Boats haven't made it because they couldn't get here due to the conditions, and we had a mod 70 capsize, and that really has been quite spectacular story, actually. So, yeah, but as we look down the starting line, out into the distance, I have to say these conditions are sublime, and I just wish I was out there, Louis.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of envy going on with the people watching this at home. And don't forget, if you're watching this on Facebook, please leave us your comments. Tell us where you're watching this from. We're always interested to know. I think, as Eddie Mary pointed out, we've got competitors and boats here from 21 different countries, 6 continents, and we'd love to know where you're watching this from. It's a beautiful morning here in Antigua, and just going around the docks this morning in Falmouth and English Harbour, you could really feel the apprehension and the excitement of doing this race. So we had a chat with Artur Lenervo from Finland yesterday, and he said he watched the coverage this race and he just had to do it. And he's here with his XP44 Extra Sterk, and there's from Finland to right down to crews here from Australia. We've got people from all over the world that are gathered here for this amazing spectacle, and we're about to go into sequence for the start of the 11th edition of the RORC Caribbean 600. Eddie, just what would you be thinking about starting here from a afterguard point of view?
Well, Louay, they've set a really nice line. The wind is around about due east 090. There's probably around about you could just about, if you zoom in, see the outer distance marker there. The length of the line is restricted by the fact that there is deep water in the distance, so it's right on the edge of the shelf. There's about a 15 to 20 degree bias, which means that boats will be starting in shore here. But there's more wind out to sea, so actually it's going to be a very fair line. Now, in terms of strategy, well, you do want to be inside if you can get inside, but bearing in mind that we're starting on starboard, people will want to tack on a port very quickly. and head up the track as fast as possible. So I can imagine the butterflies they've got, getting the boat set up for what is around about 20 knots of wind, quite big seas. I mean, there's 2 meter seas here, 1.5 to 2 meters, so it's pretty tough conditions. You'll see the boats bashing around. We've got one just tacking in front of us, Scarlet Oyster, you know them very well, and I'm sure you can say a few things about them, Louay.
Yeah, Ross Appleby's Scarlet Oyster, Oyster 48. Well, that's how it started life, but Ross has been working on that boat for years and years and years. This is Scarlet Oyster's 7th race, and Ross has been on the winning for the class 6 times. The gun coming. There we go, Papa.
And 5 minutes to the start.
5 minutes to the start of the RORC Caribbean 600, and in the first start we will see IRC2, IRC3 and all of those boats that are racing just under CSA. And we just had a chat about Ross Appleby's Scarlet Oyster, and they're in that start, all powered up and heading towards I'm sure a very memorable race. Let's talk about IRC2. You could call this the clash of the charter boats. We've got Ross Appleby's team. We also have 3 entries from Performance Yacht Charter. They're based in Cowes on the Isle of Wight. And they have 2 Grand Soleil 43s racing in Quokka and Dwar-Kali. And also their Beneteau First 47.7 EH01. So there are 3 there from Performance Yacht Charter. Sailing Logic, they have competed in every race for the Caribbean 600 with various boats, and this year they have Rocket Dog, the First 40.7. Jonathan Tyrrell is the skipper there. And good luck to the Sailing Logic team on board. Optimus Prime, that is another another First 40, and the skipper is Dmitry Kondrayachev. My Russian isn't that good, Eddie, and I know Dmitry did the Rolex Middle Sea race two-handed, and did an amazing job there. But that's a Hamble-based boat. Yuri Fadiv is usually the skipper, but it's Dmitry for this one. Also in this start we have Pamela Baldwin's Liquid with a young crew, and that boat's based here in Antigua. Trevor Middleton with the Sunfast Black Sheep. And Eddie?
Well, Trevor Middleton actually is my pick of the lot. Actually, he did the RORC transatlantic race last November and finished 2nd overall. Yeah. Smallest boat in the fleet, beat 130 foot Super Maxi, and did a fantastic job. So my pick of the day is Black Sheep, and it will be interesting to see how he gets on against the larger, heavier boats. But this is a long race, and there's a lot. He's got to get off the line cleanly and get going. So 2 minutes to the start.
Thanks very much, Eddie. And yeah, also we've got some two-handed teams.
40 seconds. And
we'll just tell you that's actually under 40 seconds to the start.
No, it's not. Coming up to the 1 minute.
Correction, that's 1 minute to the start. You can see the chopper there. That's got Roddy Grimes-Graham and Tim Wright in it.
That's a 1 minute signal.
1 minute to the start. I'm going to hand over to Eddie Warden Owen to talk about this dial up to the line.
Well, Louay, you'll have to do some spotting of boats, but basically the boats are bunched up at the outboard end. We have a committee boat over at the outer distance mark. I think you can see some boats coming down here. Those who want the pin end to take the bias, they're on their way to us. So,
and I think you've got that's Cabell Vane, I believe, is the boat there. That's the 2 brothers from Yo-Yo and Jan from Holland. And I think alongside them, I'm not 100% sure, but that might be... It's very difficult. But look at the bunch, Eddie. Let's talk about this bunch moving into the site. It's going to be very difficult.
Well, we're down into the last few seconds, coming up to the start. And he's sheeting on, getting ready to harden up. One boat taking the... And that's the gun, the start gun for The first start of the RORC Caribbean 600. Looks like the outboard end is, the wind's gone a little bit right, and it's favouring the outboard end. I think the red boat, that is Scarlet Oyster, got a good start on the leeward of the bunch. So he's taken the left-hand side and pressing hard to get inshore. Boat on port is ducking the fleet, and there's a boat very close inshore here, Louay, if you can spot who it is.
I'm not 100% sure, but as I said, I think that might be Cabell Vane, Yo-Yo and Jan Gerson. If it is, even if it isn't, an amazing story. Yo-Yo owns the boat. He invited his brother over from Holland to take part. They're two-handed, and Yo-Yo is normally the chief engineer on Kokomo, a 58-metre sloop, and he's now in a 35-foot boat just with his brother. So real dream come true for the two Gerson brothers. And Yo-Yo was quite emotional actually when we had a chat with him about this. He's really looking forward to sailing two-handed with his brother. And their main goal, Eddie, is to make the prize giving. And let's not forget, you know, these boats are probably going to be out there for, what, 4 or 5 days, I'm guessing.
They are. The weather forecast is going to be windy. It's windier this morning than we expected. The wind is supposed to be around 15 to 20 and getting up to more like 20 to 25, gusts of 30 later in the week. You'll see they've done a very good start. Started at the outboard end and pushing very hard. You'll see our helicopter is taking some interesting photographs at low level. But they're all going into the cliffs, going to get the left-hand shift before they tack on a port and sail off towards Green Island, which is really the first corner of this mark at the eastern end of Antigua. So anything that you've spotted, Louay?
Yeah, I think having been up here for all of the previous 10 starts, I think this is some of the biggest sea state we've seen at the start of the race. It's not like the Solent, that chop. These are longer waves, but the sea state is quite significant here in the shallows, and you do get that effect of the continental shelf, you know, bashing it up. But as you say, the tradition is to go inshore, get that lifting pressure, but there seems to be quite a significant sea state. That's what I'm sort of seeing straight away. But like you, Eddie, I'm deeply envious. I mean, look at these conditions. They're just absolutely fantastic, and these boats are going to have days of this. And isn't that the big draw of the race, Eddie, the conditions here as well?
Absolutely. I mean, I you know, people think this is a walk in the park. Blue skies, blue seas, warm water. If you want some of the best downwind conditions in the world, this is the race to do it in. But you've got to remember, to go downwind means you have to go back upwind, and they generally start the race upwind and they finish upwind. So, but in between, they have some of the most amazing conditions you could ever imagine. So, yeah, I'm quite envious seeing them bash on into the distance, and that's the first start, and we're moving into the countdown for the second start. So got some multi-hulls here. This is an interesting one in front of us actually, Louay, the yellow boat here, which is an Antiguan foiling multi-hull.
Yeah, they call this I believe an F4. It's Shannon Falcone's catamaran, and it's 46 foot long, all carbon and foiling, fully foiling this boat. And they tried to finish last year, but they ended up losing the wind instruments, the wand, which is actually on the end of the prodder. They don't put it at the top of the rig. There's so much apparent. And he's got an absolutely crack crew on that boat. He's got Morgan Larson, he's got Pete Cummings, he's got Pete Greenhouse.
But Shannon is an America's Cup
two-time winner. Yeah, two-time winner of the America's Cup. And Shannon said, first, the most important thing is to finish, and second is to have a lot of fun. And anybody who knows, particularly Pete Cumming, knows that the jokes in between the exhilarating sailing are going to be very good. And as I said, we were already into a 10-minute rolling start, so it's not going to be too long before the next start. Just a quick shout out in that start for the 3 swans taking part: Charisma, Isbjorn and Sleeper. Also, Emily of Cows has got away well, Richard Oswald. Pippa Turton with her all-women team from 5 Nations on Phoenix. And also Sapphire Knight, they've gone, and also Porthimore, the Oyster 49. So they're all off, and we're looking forward to the next start.
Well, Louay, just a quick one there. I mean, Jonty Layfield has done this done this race 6 times, 7 times, and he's got his Swan 48, which would love this condition, love this tough stuff. So I think, he's another interesting dark horse for winning class. And we're coming up to the countdown for the next starting group. And this... So that's the 5 minute for IRC 1, starting at 11:10. And we have countries, 8 nations represented here: Austria, Belgium, Canada, France, Great Britain, Italy, Russia and USA. Now, what's very interesting about this race, I mean, it's been going for 11 editions now, Louay, and to me, I think what's significant is the fact that the American entries have grown quite dramatically. And we have 18 from the UK, which obviously, as the Royal Ocean Racing Club, you would expect. But we've also got 17 boats, one of which is in front of us here, the fabulous Bellamente, which I think is, brand new. It's only done something like 22 days of sailing, and this is a real high-performance boat. But the USA have taken this race to their heart, and certainly Hapfouth loves this race. He said last night that he's always wanting to come back. As long as he's able to, he'll be here. So some great sailors on Bellamente. Tell us about that, Louay.
Oh yes, I mean, it's an absolutely stellar cast on Bellamente, and as he said, this is a brand new boat. I think they've only done 1 race before this, but this is their first big outing, and it's a boating design. That was Terry Hutchinson who's on board, that brought him boating. He knows him through the Super Series. Terry Hutchinson on board, multiple Super Series wins. We've got Moose Sanderson, 2 wins in the Volvo Ocean Race as skipper, and Brad Jackson calling the shots at the back of that boat, and Brad's won 3 round the world race, and that's just picking the top of the bunch. Every single position is filled with great sailors. Ian Moore is navigating from the Isle of Wight,
and we got the multiple winner of the race. One of the biggest stars in the race is actually Adrian Stead, who's won this race 4 times.
Yeah.
Adrian Stead's on the back of Bellamente, and he's won this race on different boats, and does a fantastic job supporting the team.
So Adrian Stead going for a high 5, Eddie?
Hopefully a high 5, we shall see. I know we've got our own private bet, but we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later, yes. But yeah, Bellamente, she's won a hell of a boat, and the first time you're going to see some proper photographs from her, and video as well. We were really trying to get a few. And we've got one, we're just setting up for the 1 minute gun. Just a few seconds to 1 minute gun. I'm going to hand over to Eddie just to talk through the tactics on the line. Here we go.
Well, who we've got in? Who are the big players in this?
Biggest yacht, Eddie, is the Swan 66 Bounty, Gib Kane. The fastest yacht should be the Far 52 Godspeed.
Okay. Well, again, the line is pretty even. The RORC Race Committee have set a pretty even line. It was a little bit left to start with, but it looks like the wind's turned right, made the line a bit more even, so they're all bunched up at the starboard end. They've got probably a bit of distance to accelerate to the line, about 40 seconds to the start, 20 seconds to the start, and they're starting to pull the trigger, start to get acceleration, pointing down the line, getting speed up. They all look very, very even. There's 2 boats at the pin end.
Bit shouting going on there as well.
Bit of port and start shouting. Nice tack here from the boat at the bottom end. You can see there's a little bit of oops, yep, argy-bargy coming in, but the favourites are starting in the middle to upper echelon of the line. A nice group, 15 boats we've got on this start, and representing 8 nations. And as you can see, it's just stunning conditions. I mean, absolutely gorgeous.
Very competitive start there, Eddie. I should just explain that we're having to stay behind the start line, and it's not going to be possible to ID individual boats. I'm sure you can see your favourites, but a very competitive start for a 600-mile race, Eddie. And we're just looking at, I'm pretty sure that's Black Soul 2 heading inshore there. Can't quite. She's a bit of a one-off. She's from a boutique in. I'm going to correct that. That's actually Bounty. That's the Swan 66 going all the way inshore with Mickey Joubert on board. And do you like the look of them, Eddie, or do you just?
Well, yeah, I do. I think she's a beautiful boat. She's got a lovely start. But she's going to have to push the corner to try and tack and cross those boats to windward of her. But yeah, I think she's got a very, very strong. I have a strong feeling that she's going to win class because she's got some really good sailors, from strong sailors on this boat. And of course, this fleet is amazing because it's full of the best professionals, as we were talking about on Bellamente. But also, we got amazing Corinthian sailors who just love their offshore racing. And of course, the Royal Caribbean 600 must be the best conditions in the world.
Yeah, thanks, Eddie. And just a shout out for that start to Sin Duda, Lindsay Duda, the skipper of the Santa Cruz 50 from Chicago. And they got some damage to the boat on delivery here, and they're back out there. It's great to see them make the race. Also, Pata Negra, Giles Redpath's boat, that's being sailed by a team from Lake Constance in Germany, with Andy Liss as the skipper. We've also got from Canada, we've got Morgan Watson's Pogo 12.5, Hermes, Anna from Russia, Mikhail Matarov, Extra Sturk, Arto Linaverno, he's going to have a grin right across his face. Another Finnish Swan, Lintu, the 57, Jerka Meki, and then we've got on decks Far 65 from Antigua with Paul Jackson, Spirit of Juno, and not forgetting Bernie out there with Taz on his Ryko P37. What's Bernie like, Eddie?
Bernie's an amazing character, local dentist, and he's just got a huge smile on his face when we talk about this race. He's done every start, he's finished all but one. And he has a Ryko P39. I'm not sure I'd want to sell a 39-footer in this, but he just loves it. He comes back, going out with a grin, coming back with a grin, and of course, you know, the conditions are spectacular. So yeah, it's good to see Bernie out there. Extra Sturk we were talking about, Art Linervo, who's he's basically, his aim is to try and increase the promotion for offshore racing in Finland. He did the RORC transatlantic race and loved it, and basically left his boat in Grenada and just recently come up. So he's fully enthusiastic and looking forward to this race as well. But the next class, Louay, as we see Class 1 disappear, who have we got?
So the next class, Eddie, is the Class 40s, and they've already set a record, this bunch, because we've got 10 of them on the start line, and we've never had 10 Class 40s here before. That's been helped by the Route de Rhum, bringing over 50, and the Le Défi, another race back, and we are really happy to see such a great bunch of Class 40s. What you probably know about the Class 40s is the higher the sail number, the more modern the boat. and we have some of the most modern sail Class 40s racing here. Amongst them we have Catherine Poor. I've got to mention Irondell set the record here last year. They have the course record for the Class 40s, 2 days, 13 hours and 15 seconds. Also second last year, Louis Burton's BHB. Luke Berry, now he's new in. This is his first race in the 600 with La Motte Module Création. He was third overall in the championship last year, and this is the first race for the Class 40s for the 2019 championship, which includes the Rolex Fast 8 race, by the way. Améric Chapelier, he's come second in the TJV, second in the Route de Rhum in the last 2 years. First race in the Class 40, and on board he's got Jacques Fournier, the father of Class 40, 73 years of age, one of the oldest competitors in this race. Quito de Pavon, Made in Midi, Figaro winner, Halvard Mabir, Miranda Mirren. I could just keep going. This is going to be one hell of a battle, Eddie.
It will be a battle, actually, and we're coming up to the 5-minute gun.
So 5 minutes to go to the Class 40 start. There you go. And had a chat with Catherine Poor this morning and said 2 days, 13 hours, 15 seconds. And she shook her head. She said, no, it's not going to happen this year. But they've had a sweep on it, Eddie.
Well, I have to say that we weren't expecting this amount of wind today. And in fact, the conditions are probably about 5 knots lighter, and I would say her forecast is probably it's closer to being, and we know it was windy last year, but it was so windy last year that that the boats probably weren't sailing all the time at optimum. So my feeling is they'll get close. And the other thing is that because this class is so competitive and some really good people here, they're going to be pushing each other really hard. Whereas last year Catherine was a little bit out on her own and did a fantastic job. And it was also interesting to talk to her yesterday, because they're all sailing at least 4 or 5 up, because this race is 600 miles around 11 islands. There's one laid mark, and that's up in Barbuda, the first mark they get to, but all the rest are pieces of rock that you don't want to hit, Louay. So she said that because it's pretty tough, this race, you need the extra people on board. They generally sail them single-handed or double-handed, but they need the extra people for the watch system, the sail changes, the constant change in direction, and to be on top of your game, you need a lot of people working hard here. So we're a few minutes coming down to the start. Most of the boats are actually on the outer end of the line, but as you say, a very hot fleet. And the record fleet that we've had in the Class 40s for this particular race.
Yes, and having a chat round that Class 40 fleet, they're all saying, being honest about it, it's that any one of 5 can win this, and we're expecting to have a very close finish. Again, talking to Catherine Poor, she was saying, whoever comes out of St. Bart's at the end of that chicane on the second day in the lead is going to be difficult to catch on the foot race down to Guadeloupe. But then we've got the Guadeloupe Casino, and anything can happen in there. A lot of the Route de Rhum competitors have done a lot of studies, because that's the finish for the Route de Rhum. So, it's not going to be over, but Catherine was alluding to whoever gets past St. Bart's first is definitely going to be stroking the pussycat, Eddie. That's what she was telling me anyway.
Well, there are opportunities in Guadeloupe, because you have to go through the leeward side of Guadeloupe where there's no wind. A lot of people have done this before, as you quite rightly say. We're coming up to 1 minute before the start. So this is interesting, Louay. 1 minute to go, and basically the fleet is a little bit divided. So we've got Miranda Merrin down here at Campagne de France, and at the outer end you've got a bunch of about 7 boats. FR145.
That is Irondell.
Catherine Poor. Well, she knows these waters. She's got the record, and she's decided she's starting down here. Further out to sea is Campagne de France, And behind them is FRA 81, which is out of your picture at the moment. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they come off the line with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah, but very interesting to see Hirondelle here in Campagne de France taking a totally different angle here and coming in on port, Eddie.
She is pushing it hard, isn't she?
Yeah.
Look at it. I mean, that is fantastic. Flat out on port.
Okay, so we've got Hirondelle and Campagne de France on port. And I think the line was clear. It was very close, that's for sure. Hirondelle powering away. Look at the spray coming off her bow there. And Catherine had a fantastic transatlantic race as well. And
the wind's gone slightly left, Louay. You can see that for sure the boats on starboard aren't sailing as high. She's going to cross the first slot. Is she going to make it across all the others? It'll be interesting to see. But yeah, she really pushed it at the start. What a fantastic lineup of boats, all, as you say, incredibly competitive. These are offshore greyhounds. They're perfectly in line with the Royal Ocean Racing Club, because these are owner-driver. Yes, they're sponsored, but they're not generally full-time professionals. But really enthusiastic. What's going to happen to Catherine? She's going to have to dip one of the boats. So a fantastic move on her part. And
is she going to get him, Eddie? She's up.
No, she's had to dip one boat. So too has Campagne de France. So it's a pretty even line, I have to say. Very, very even. Yeah.
I mean, look at all those Class 40s bunched together there, and we're expecting this to go on right through the race. It's going to be a fantastic battle. I'm just going to try and zoom in. George is off operating the drone. I'm not sure how well this is going to work out, but we will try. I've even got Eddie operating the camera now. This is fantastic. I'm definitely on overtime, Eddie. We might have to have a glass of something or other later on for that.
Duo, Louay, dynamic duo. Here we go.
And yeah, just to run you through the Class 40s racing in the RORC Caribbean 600. Made in Midi, Aina Enfance et Avenir, BHB, Campagne de France, Colombre Excel, Hirondelle, Esprit Scout, La Motte Module Création, and Team Angola Cable. And that's an all Brazilian team competing. I don't think we've ever had a Brazilian Class 40 in the race before, so it's great to see them. We have got other competitors here from South America, as we have from all 6 continents, Eddie. But that's going to be a fantastic battle in that Class 40 fleet. And as Eddie was saying earlier on, they're all fully crewed, and that's because there's an enormous number of manoeuvres which they don't normally do in a straight line Atlantic race.
Yeah, most of their races is point to point, so crossing large oceans or crossing the channel. And so this race, which is designed for fully crewed boats, lots of corners, 11 islands, the most beautiful scenery that you can imagine, it's going to be pretty tough for these Class 40s. As you see them racing into the distance, quite a few of the boats are now tacked onto port, but as we wave goodbye to them, we're coming down to the countdown for IRC 0. So and the super yachts at 11:30. And who have we got that we need to look out for, Louay?
Oh my word! I mean, this is quite incredible. We'll, as I said, George is just retrieving his drone, so we excuse the poor camera work. And right, so let's just give you a rundown for this. So, my word, have we got some sailors in here? Eddie's just going to have a little look at the Wizard. I believe you're on the Wizard. Oh, we got George back. Thank heavens for that. Is the drone all right, George? The drone's good. The drone's good.
We've got Wizard in the picture now. That's your actual favourite for line honours, I gather, Louay. Oh, sorry.
Oh well, okay. Are you going to bring it up now, Eddie? Are you?
No. We won't talk about that. We just have a little private between Wizard and Bellamente. But you need to choose your own. but coming towards the camera is the beautiful super yacht Nikata, 130 feet long. 115, and but this boat is raced hard, isn't it, Louay? I mean, it may be absolutely gorgeous down below, but let's not say she's not holding back, is it?
No, you're absolutely right, Eddie. I mean, you know, this is one of the latest designs of super yacht, 2017, I think. She was built at Baltic Yachts, Eurolic design, and as you say, she's beautiful down below, but she is most certainly built for racing. She has a fantastic racing spec in terms of the package on deck and the fruit in the air. That's just an amazing boat, and being clocked at, I think, 26 knots in the Atlantic, 88 tons of her. On board Nikata, we have bower becking 8 round the world races. We also have Ian Budgeon, who's been 2 Volvo Ocean races, and Ian Budgeon is from the UK. Bower becking, as I'm sure you're aware, is from the UK.
So it's Kuka in the picture.
And Eddie's just spotted Kuka in the picture, so that gives you an idea of the difference in size in this class. We've got Kuka 3, Franco Nagella's Cookson 50.
5 minutes ago.
And we've got Nikata, so the two totally different boats.
The reason I put Kuka in there, because Cookson 50, which Kuka is, and she won the RORC Transatlantic race last November, is they are pretty hot favourites to do a really good job. If it's as windy as this, I favour the bigger boats, but for sure Cookson 50 has a great chance of taking the trophy here. And there's 2. All right,
there are 2. Yeah, there's Triple Lindy as well. Yeah, Triple Lindy. That's Joe Melle's American team. And Joe's from New York, and we asked him yesterday why is he doing this race, and he says because he loves offshore racing, and Joe likes to work in the pit. And I asked him how busy is he on the manoeuvres, and there was a big intake of breath when I asked Joe about that. You know, he's got to get it right, and they're a fantastic team. In their previous boat they've done the Sydney Hobart, the Rolex Sydney Hobart, and the Rolex Fastnet race. And Eddie's just spotted a rather large, in fact, the largest privately owned schooner in the world. This is Athos, who has raced with us before. Just hand you to Eddie.
Well, the reason I spot Athos is because she's raced with us a number of times, and I mean, you have to look at this. I mean, it's you know, this race is built for beautiful yachts like this, but we can all but dream. And she's on charter. She was planning to do this race, but then got into charter mode, and so they come out to watch the start. They're very enthusiastic. Their captain loves this race too, so quite an exercise to get that boat round the course. So anyway, moving on from large schooners, as we've got there out in the distance, we can see the boats setting up for their final minute for the start. We're coming up to 1 minute to go, so perfect setting, and it's blowing a good 20 knots out there, Louay. The Nikata has tacked. She's really absolutely dwarfs all the other boats, so they're lining up for a starboard end start, probably with there's nearly a minute to go. Quite a bunch. You can see the red sails of the Volvo 65. That's sailing Poland in the distance. A really nice lineup. This is IRC 0. These are the professionals, the bigger boats, the faster boats.
And again,
5 minutes to the 1 minute gun.
They're loving that pin, Eddie, aren't they?
Yeah, they're all loving the pin. So we're in the 1 minute countdown, and we've got a couple of the smaller 50 footers down at this end.
Bellamenta's the green numbers a little bit.
Bellamenta, you can just see behind Nikata. Coming up to half a minute to go, And now, of course, is the time when you actually sheet on, Louay. They've all got computers, they're all telling them what to do. You can see that the canting keel boats are closest to us.
Start this is.
This is going to be an amazing start. We're just behind the line.
This is going to be
15 seconds to go, so they're going sheeting on full on now.
Bella wants the pink.
5 seconds. All clear. Oh, what a fabulous start. Absolutely gorgeous. Really look at that. We're only just behind the line, so that is a pretty amazing lineup of boats as they take off for the start. We've got Maxi 72, we've got, you know, the Baltic 115, some 50 footers, Volvo 65, Volvo 70. I mean, this is quite a lineup, isn't it, Louay?
Yeah, just a fantastic lineup, and what a competitive start that was as well. A lot of boats not wanting to get to leeward of the big Nakata, and there was a couple of the smaller boats. I'm assuming that was probably Lady Mariposa and the two Cooks and 50s. They got a great start, don't get me wrong, they're doing extremely well. But Nakata, the wind shadow that boat is throwing out, you do not want to get in that. But it'd be interesting to see now. We've got Nakata heading towards the cliffs here, and you see how they turn this boat. 115 foot, 88 tons, and how far away are they from the cliffs right now? Probably about 100 metres, if that. Yeah. And they're still going. They're still going, and the crew's still on the rail. It's impressive the way they can the way they can work this out. Anyway, the long and the short of it is we're starting to see a spread along the line. I'd say Bellamenti's got a nice controlling position there as she's coming in on starboard. The boats that are going to bounce out are going to have to keep clear of her. She's coming in. Nice controlling position there from Bellamente. And we've got more of a spread across the line now. And as Eddie was saying, there's an incredible array of sailors in this team, in this class. I beg your pardon. We talked about the team on Bellamente. Axel Magdal. We got Nettie racing on Nakata as well. Tony Ray, he's on Sorceress. Not forgetting them. That's a Southern Wind 96. And with the way this is working out, it's an incredible start here for IRC 0 and the super yachts, and it's very likely that the overall winner will come from this class. It has done on every occasion. We've always seen the winner of the RORC Caribbean 600 trophy coming from IRC 0. So that's a competitive start. Bellamente, we had a chat with Terry Hutchinson a couple of days ago, and his best routing for the race is 1 day and 21 hours. Now, that's outside record pace, but that was Rambler 88. So that's something to go by. And we also heard that the VMG upwind for Bellamente is actually quicker than Rambler. She's quicker upwind than Rambler 88, a canting keel 88 footer. And not forgetting Wizard, which has a superb crew as well. That's owned by David and Peter Askew from the USA, with Charlie Enright, who's skippered 2 Volvo Ocean Race teams. He's skippering Wizard for this race, and on board they have 3 previous winners of the Round the World race in Simon Fisher from Britain, Phil Harmer from Australia, and Daryl Wislang from New Zealand. And that's just going for the pick of the crop. And Wizard have to be in contention for the monohull line honours. It really depends on the wind angles. Wizard's looking for, fast blast reaching conditions, while Bellamente would probably prefer there wasn't too much. And Eddie's just spotted something there. He's turned into quite a cameraman. We're going to have to watch we don't pull out any wires though, because the whole feed would go if we did. But who have you spotted, Eddie?
Well, I've got Fujin actually in the picture here, because she's She's a boat that capsized last year, first capsize that we've had. She's come back. She's got the McKee brothers. I think Peter Eisler's on board, although I haven't seen Peter. And she's got quite a strong crew, and she's a very, very interesting boat actually. As you can see her accelerating away there. I mean, actually quite a lightweight cruiser racing catamaran. Look at the spray coming off her bow. So yes, next up are the multi-hulls, and of course we got two boats missing, Louay.
Well, two boats missing. Oh right, yes, Eddie. Now we're the cat's out of the bag. Well, it's actually been an amendment in the sailing instructions if you were watching. So what you're going to watch next, which is an 11:30 start, if we're all on time, no 11:40 beg your pardon, is the Mokra class, I believe, but there will be two.
What does Mokra stand for, Louay?
Oh, he's got me on the hop now. That's
Multi-Offshore Racer Cruiser Association. Okay?
That was
it's Mokra is a handicap system for those type of boats, and this basically is what you're seeing here, right? These are cruising catamarans, built light, and they're out there sailing. So, you know, Fujin's a great example. There are gunboats here from the USA. Fabulous cruising boats, beautiful down below, but these guys love racing, and that's why they're here.
Indeed, and we were watching Fujin there. I think there's a gunboat now in shot. That would either be, I'm pretty sure that's Chim Chim.
And that's
in
5
shot.
minutes to our start.
5 minutes to start for the Mokras, and as you say, cat's out of the bag. Maserati and Argo are not in this start. We'll talk about that after the multi-hull start. We've got 5 minutes of this one, and I can see another amazing super yacht coming out. There's great to see the spectators out, and they are observing the exclusion zone. That's the beautiful Ketch Marie, and she is a stunning boat. And a big shout out to the captain, Wes. I'm guessing that he's got some very happy people on board to watch the start of this race. But thanks for bringing Marie out, Wes. She looks absolutely stunning. And Eddie's just spotted another little cruising boat, little cruising catamaran with Antiguan sail numbers. I'm not sure who that is.
I don't think she's racing with them. Doesn't have the racing flag on, but they're out here to watch.
Great to see them out and observing the exclusion zone, so everybody's safe, including them. That's the main thing. Still loads of white horses out here, Eddie. But as we were saying, we've got a cracking multi-hull fleet this year, and racing in the Mokra class. We also have Fujin, we were talking about, returning after their flip last year. And on board Fujin, we have Jonathan McGee, the Olympic gold medalist and America's Cup sailor, and also Peter Eisler. And Jonathan McGee's from Seattle, so is most of the team, including the owner, Greg Sinslad. And it's wonderful to see them back out here after they turned the boat over at St. Bart's, and they had to rebuild the boat. And Jonathan was very humbled by Greg's the amount of effort the man put into putting the boat back out here. And it's great to see Fujin back out here. We also have some interesting boats in some multi-50s. And we've got Shannon Falcone's Falcon, and
He's in the centre of the picture now, actually, Shannon. So we've only got we're coming up to the 1 minute to the start. Mm-hmm. So the boats are actually getting themselves into place quite early. We got two gunboats actually. That these are big, heavy cruiser racing machines, beautiful down below. But all these multi-hulls are going to enjoy these conditions. And we'll just mention quickly, one of the reasons that we don't have the two Mod 70s is that one of them capsized the other day. And what they're going to do is start in at 1400 in 2 hours time, 3 hours time, and so that they can race together. And we changed the sailing instructions to allow them to do that, and all the multi-hulls agreed that was a really good idea. And I have to say that Giovanni Soldini said, you know, sportsmanship, yeah, I don't want to go racing without Argo. They capsized the other day. They worked their socks off to try and get the boat. boat up to speed. As you can see, Carlo Falcone getting up on his foils there. Here he is, he's foiling. Unbelievable how fast they're going.
It's Shannon. I'm not sure Carlo.
Sorry,
would
Shannon,
love it.
Shannon Falcone. I mean, that is amazing. I'll tell you what, I wouldn't want to be selling that boat. Anyway, we're coming into the last 30 seconds as we pan up over the line, having a look at the boats coming to the starting area, and all lined up. Shannon's decided to start at the pin end here.
Yeah, he's gone right inshore, hasn't he? But I mean, he knows these waters, Eddie, doesn't he?
He does. Tacking over onto port, and that's a beautiful start.
I would say that looks like
all clear.
That looks like Chim Chim. Chim Chim is definitely the most forward of those boats there.
And who's the one out at the pin end who's got a really good start?
I'm pretty sure that's Aratuzar, which is Phil Lott's boat.
Coming into your picture is Shannon with the yellow boat. I have to say, it's incredibly tender, that boat. It's just up on its hull. Look at it flying out of the water. So these guys are going to have a fantastic race. I think Shannon's aim is to try and get around the course without flipping.
Yeah, and have a lot of fun on board. He's got a fantastic crew of world champions, and it is quite an incredible boat. But it's lovely to see the array of multi hulls here as well. And one of them is Oblimix, which is all wooden. Eddie, it's a multi 50. It's wooden. It's Pierre Antoine, and he just won his class in the Route de Rhum. By 3 days, and get this, he rescued another sailor 1,000 miles offshore in winning that class. So quite incredible.
Tim,
wonderful to see. Wonderful to see the range of multi-hulls in the race, and as Eddie was saying, they're off, and I'm sure we'll be seeing these boats doing a fantastic job getting around this course. Talking to Jonathan McGee, we said, what's it going to be like when you come up to Sabre where you flipped over last year? And he said, we are better prepared this year, and we're going to make sure that we do the boat justice and do Greg justice. And but I'm sure when they get there on that first night, they'll be thinking about a year ago, and hopefully they'll get through there without any incident. Their crew's been strengthened by Peter Eisler, who's on board doing navigation. Peter knows this race very well. He's done it on many boats, and also knows all about flipping over. He was on Rambler 100 in the 2011 Fastnet when that one flipped over. Sorry. So anyway, Fujin, it's great to see him back in the race, and as Eddie was saying, we've got a bonus, haven't we, Eddie? We've got a start later on today, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But Eddie, that is all but 2 of the boats off. How did you think the starts went, Eddie?
Well, I think they all acquitted themselves really well, and both monohulls and multi-hulls. And we see these multi-hulls, it's amazing, these pictures. I'm just about able to capture them. You can see them, and as I zoom in, telephoto here, you'll see the spray coming off the bow of these boats. I'm sorry that we can't have multi-cameras, but you just feel the conditions. It's 27 degrees, the water's probably the same temperature. These boats are making huge amounts of spray. The lead boat in the picture over there is Shannon Falcone in his yellow multi 50, really trucking along, and behind him is a trimaran, which is Olmix, and then to the left of the picture there is a gunboat 60, and the spray coming off these boats, Louay, is just unbelievable. So as we send them off into the distance, we are going to have a couple of hours time before we have the start of the Mod 70s, and as we know, a couple of days ago, Argo, whilst they were training, flipped. They nosedived, turned on their side, actually landed on their stern with the mast dragging in the water. Luckily they were in flat water, luckily they were in shallow water, so the boat didn't turn upside down, but actually the mast was touching the bottom, and they were able to turn the boat upright, and they've been working virtually 24/7 the last few days to try and get that boat ready. And I have to say, the sportsmanship, when I spoke to Giovanni Soldini, he said, absolutely, if we can wait and the committee can allow us to wait for them and have a start by ourselves, then yes, of course we want to race against them. It's not about us just winning this race without them. We want to race with them, and it's a fantastic, if they can get the boat on the water, get out, and we hope, fingers crossed, that we'll see both boats starting at 2 o'clock today. And that is 6 o'clock UK time. So please tune in then. I think you'll find that live coverage of the start. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've had a bit of fun doing it. The race team here, I will pan round to show you the organisation here. And we thank all our volunteers at the Antigua Yacht Club for all their help and support, and without them we wouldn't be able to handle this race. So Louay, great job, thank you very much for getting this on live, and we look forward to seeing you in a few hours time.
Yes indeed, and just so if you want to get a wake-up call to watch Maserati and Argo, it's very simple, just like the RORC Facebook page and you will get an alert however you watch Facebook to say that we're about to go live. So if you want to check us out for that Maserati Argo match race, come back in 4 hours. And if you haven't watched this live, well, you can, because it's all been recorded, so it'll be on Facebook. There'll be a full recording of the starts, and obviously a separate one for Maserati and Argo. And Eddie has become quite the cameraman, and he's focused us back on the where we started, the World UNESCO Heritage Site of Nelson's Dockyard. Beautiful spot. And if you haven't come to Antigua, you are really missing out on something. For now, that's the RORC Caribbean 600 checking out. Come back for the big match race. Last word from you, Eddie.
Yeah, thank you all. Look forward to seeing you in a few hours as we switch off live coverage. Thanks again. Bye-bye.